Imagine a world where food is grown in labs, on rooftops, or even in vertical farms. A world where our plates are full, our planet is healing, and our food supply is secure, resilient, and sustainable. This isn't a distant science fiction fantasy. It's a future that is taking root right now, born from necessity and nurtured by innovation. For generations, our food system has been built on a model of extraction and expansion. We've cleared forests, diverted rivers, and tilled the soil, feeding billions but placing an immense and unsustainable strain on our planet. Today we stand at a critical juncture. With a global population projected to reach nearly 10 billion people by 2050, the old ways simply won't be enough. The land is finite, the water is scarce, and our climate is changing in ways that threaten the very foundations of traditional agriculture. The challenge before us is monumental. How do we feed a world of 10 billion without devouring the planet in the process? The answer lies not in doing more of the same, but in completely reimagining what food is, where it comes from, and how we produce it. What if the next steak you eat wasn't from an animal, but cultivated sustainably in a bioreactor? This is the revolutionary promise of cellular agriculture. It begins not on a sprawling ranch, but in a sterile lab, with a tiny, harmless sample of animal cells. These cells are placed in a cultivator, a device that provides the perfect environment for growth: warmth, water, and a nutrient-rich broth of proteins, minerals, and sugars, the same building blocks an animal uses to build muscle. Over a matter of weeks, these cells do what they are naturally programmed to do. They multiply, differentiate, and assemble themselves into real, biological meat. The result is anatomically and molecularly identical to the meat we've always eaten. It sizzles, it smells, and it tastes just like conventional meat because it's conventional meat. The only difference? No animal was ever raised or slaughtered to produce it. The implications are staggering. This method could reduce land use from agriculture by over 95%, cut water consumption by more than 80%, and slash greenhouse gas emissions by up to 90%. It offers a future free from the ethical dilemmas of industrial farming and the health risks of antibiotic overuse. From beef and chicken to bluefin tuna and foie gras, we are on the cusp of producing any kind of meat, anywhere in the world, with a fraction of the environmental footprint. But this revolution isn't confined to the laboratory. Look up, and you'll see it transforming the very fabric of our cities. Imagine skyscrapers that don't just house people, but also feed them. These are vertical farms, indoor agricultural ecosystems where technology and nature work in perfect harmony. Inside, thousands of trays of produce are stacked stories high, bathed in the precise wavelengths of light from LEDs that mimic the sun. In this perfectly controlled environment, there are no seasons, no droughts, no floods, and no pests. This means no pesticides, no herbicides, and a 99% reduction in water use compared to field-grown crops. Fresh, nutrient-dense produce can be grown year-round, harvested at the peak of freshness, and delivered to a local market or restaurant in a matter of hours, not days or weeks. This is the dawn of hyper-local agriculture, a system that drastically cuts down on food miles, reduces spoilage, and ensures that even the most densely populated urban centers have access to the freshest food imaginable. It's a farm-to-table model where the farm is just an elevator ride away. This new food future is also taking root on a more human scale. On rooftops, in abandoned warehouses, and in community plots, a grassroots movement is underway. Urban farming is reconnecting people with their food, transforming concrete jungles into green oases, and strengthening community bonds. It's a powerful reminder that innovation doesn't always have to be high-tech. Sometimes it's as simple as empowering people to grow their own food, right where they live. From cellular agriculture to vertical farming and community gardens, we are witnessing the emergence of a diverse tapestry of solutions. Each thread represents a different approach, a unique technology, and a new way of thinking, all weaving together to create a more resilient and equitable food system for all. This isn't about finding a single silver bullet, but about building a portfolio of innovations that can be adapted to local needs and environments around the globe. But this path to a better future is not without its challenges. How do we scale these technologies to feed billions? How do we ensure they are affordable and accessible to everyone, not just a privileged few? What policies and regulations are needed to guide this transition safely and ethically? And perhaps the biggest question of all, are we, as consumers, ready to embrace this radical new way of eating? The journey ahead will require the combined efforts of our brightest minds, scientists and engineers, farmers and chefs, entrepreneurs and policymakers. It will demand bold investment, public debate, and a willingness to challenge our deepest-held traditions around food. The story of the future of food is the story of our own future. It's a story of science, survival, and the remarkable power of human ingenuity to solve the greatest challenges of our time. Join us as we explore the revolutionary future of food and how we're cultivating our way to a sustainable tomorrow. From a distance, our global food system appears as a modern marvel, a vast, intricate network designed to feed billions. But pull back the curtain, and a different, more troubling picture emerges. The very foundation of this system, industrial agriculture, is built on a model of extraction that is fundamentally unsustainable. We see sprawling monocultures, endless fields of a single crop that strip the soil of its vital nutrients, leaving it dependent on a constant influx of chemical fertilizers. These chemicals, along with powerful pesticides, seep into our waterways, contaminating ecosystems and posing risks to biodiversity and human health. This system consumes staggering amounts of resources. Agriculture alone accounts for roughly 70% of the world's freshwater withdrawals, putting immense pressure on rivers, lakes, and aquifers. It's a system operating on borrowed time, under a strain that is becoming increasingly visible. Compounding this environmental strain is a relentless demographic reality. Every year, our global family grows by approximately 80 million people. By 2050, we are projected to reach nearly 10 billion mouths to feed. To meet this demand, we would need to produce more food in the next 3 decades than we have in the entire history of human civilization. Yet, the resources we rely on are finite. The amount of arable land on Earth is not increasing. In fact, we lose vast tracts to soil degradation and desertification every single year. Key inputs like phosphorus, a non-renewable element essential for fertilizer, are being depleted at an alarming rate. This creates a perilous equation, an exponentially growing demand pressing against a fixed and in some cases shrinking supply. It's not a distant problem, it's a ticking time bomb, where the countdown is measured in harvests and the consequences of inaction could be global instability, mass migration, and widespread hunger. And now, a new and powerful force multiplier is accelerating this crisis: climate change. The predictable, cyclical patterns of weather that have guided farmers for millennia are becoming a relic of the past. Extreme weather events are the new normal. Prolonged, record-breaking droughts are turning once fertile breadbaskets into dust bowls. On the other extreme, catastrophic floods inundate fields, washing away precious topsoil and creating ideal conditions for crop-destroying diseases. Seasons themselves are becoming erratic. Unseasonably warm winters can trigger premature budding, only for a late frost to wipe out an entire season's potential harvest. This isn't a future prediction. It's the lived reality for farmers on the front lines, who are now battling not just the market, but the very elements themselves. The stability of our food supply is directly threatened, and the challenge ahead is to reinvent a system that can withstand the shocks of a rapidly changing planet. Indoor agriculture, maximizing space, minimizing water, AI and automation in vertical farms, precision and efficiency like never before. Urban food production, fresh, local, and reducing transportation costs. Cellular agriculture, meat without the animal. Precision fermentation, creating sustainable dairy and other ingredients. Gene editing for resilient crops, superfoods for a changing planet. Sustainable aquaculture, farming seafood responsibly, algae and seaweed as superfoods, nutrient-dense and fast-growing. Regenerative ocean farming, restoring ecosystems while producing food. The final, and perhaps most critical driver of this food revolution, is you. The power to reshape our global food system doesn't just lie in laboratories or boardrooms, it rests in our shopping carts and on our dinner plates. Every purchase is a vote, a signal sent up the supply chain demanding change. This is the era of the conscious consumer. We're no longer passive recipients, we're active participants, seeking out brands that align with our values. We're looking for transparency, for food with a story we can trust. We're scanning QR codes to trace our apple's journey from orchard to aisle and choosing products with clear sustainability labels, from fair trade coffee to regeneratively farmed grains. And as novel foods like cultivated meat and precision fermented dairy enter the market, informed consumer choice becomes paramount. The demand for these alternatives is not just a trend, it's a powerful economic force pushing the entire industry toward a more ethical and sustainable future. This groundswell of consumer demand is being met by unprecedented top-down action. Governments around the world are finally recognizing that food security is national security. They are rewriting the rulebook, shifting subsidies away from destructive industrial practices and toward regenerative agriculture that heals the soil. We're seeing the implementation of carbon pricing, new regulations to drastically cut food waste, and ambitious national strategies, like Singapore's 30 by 30 initiative, which aims to produce 30% of its nutritional needs locally by 2030, largely through vertical farming and aquaculture. This policy shift has opened the floodgates for investment. Venture capital is pouring billions into food tech, backing the innovators and entrepreneurs building the future. From startups perfecting cell-based seafood to companies scaling up automated vertical farms, private investment is accelerating the transition, turning bold ideas into commercial realities at a breathtaking pace. Ultimately, securing the future of food is not the responsibility of any single group. It is a grand, collaborative mission. The silos that once separated the farmer from the scientist, the investor from the policymaker, and the chef from the engineer are crumbling. In their place, a dynamic new ecosystem is emerging. It's happening in university labs where gene editing tools like CRISPR are creating drought-resistant crops. It's happening in tech hubs where data scientists use AI and satellite imagery to help farmers practice precision agriculture, using less water and fewer chemicals. It's happening in shared kitchens where culinary artists work alongside food scientists to perfect the taste and texture of plant-based and cultivated proteins. This fusion of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology, of public and private sectors, of diverse minds united by a common goal, is our greatest hope. The future of food is a collective effort, and together, we are planting the seeds for a healthier, more resilient, and more equitable world.